listening to the Cubecast.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Cubecast. We're here today with Tyler Harder from Empire Parkour.
Whoop, whoop.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you guys?
I'm doing really good, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Of course. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's just jump into it here with our, start with the basics.
Let's do it.
When did you get into parkour, and what got you interested in it?
I actually thought about this recently because I was rewriting my bio on our website, because all of our coaches have their own little bio. I had to figure out how many years I've actually been doing this.
Oh, yeah.
So I still don't know exactly when I started. I think it was late 07 or early 08.
That sounds right.
Grade somewhere, because it was shortly after I graduated high school in 07. And at that point, I would have been super interested in parkour, seeing it in movies. I had watched District 13
oh yes,
on repeat by then.
Yeah.
So good.
But I never really had an outlet to try it other than just climbing stuff at the park. So every couple of months I would Google parkour Saskatoon or something to see if anyone was doing it here. There was a couple guys doing it, but I don't know, it just weirded me out. I didn't really know what they were doing. And then eventually I saw that there was a gym called Modus Gym. No affiliation with the Modus Project. Just a coincidence. But that's where Tom and his brother Mark were running classes. So I called the gym that day and inquired about it, and they told me to come check it out. And kind of it. The rest is history. I went 2 days later and took my first class with those guys, and I just never stopped.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Funny, I definitely remember getting that call, because I think you were maybe one of the only people to actually call about it. And it was pretty early on. It was pretty close to us actually when we first started that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was early spring, late winter. It still was kind of crappy outside.
Yeah. And I guess that would have been early 2008 for sure.
I think it was early 08 now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Because that's when I would have moved there after high school.
So you two are about the same age.
Yeah.
I think I'm older by a month.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not very much. Yeah. The old people now. So you watched District 13 and all that. Did you already see Jump Britain, Jump London before starting parkour?
No, I didn't start watching that stuff until after I had started. But I had seen those early parkour videos, old Vorslav.
Yeah.
Old video. I remember seeing that even before YouTube was a thing.
Yeah.
And that Brother's Journey video with Chase and Cole Arm.
Yeah.
Those two videos I remember seeing distinctly on early video platforms. I don't even remember what they were called, but it was definitely before YouTube. They kind of made the viral hits on E-Bombs World and weird websites like that.
Yeah.
And it always showed up in different parts of pop culture. I remember seeing it referenced in other shows. I don't even know anymore. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
Casino Royale was obviously a big one. Because that came out a couple of years before I started, and that just blew my mind. And then I learned later that Sebastian Foucan was the guy that invented free running. I didn't learn that until after I had started parkour, that's who that guy was.
Yeah. Oh, damn, that's actually one of the founders of free running. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So between that and District 13, those two were probably the two biggest early influences to get started. Probably for a lot of people too. I know a lot of people that saw, at least people in this part of the world. Yeah. I know that in Europe and the UK, seeing Jump London and Jump Britain, those are pretty big.
Yeah.
Just early on for people.
And back then too, the sources of inspiration for people were a lot more limited.
No doubt.
Now, there was a handful of things that you would have seen that got you into it.
Yeah. Totally.
And where to practice it too, right? You just see someone do it, and then you're okay, you're so shit scared to talk to them, and like, how do you learn how to do this? Because you think they're just some kind of superhero that does this in their free time, right? And then next thing you know,
big table.
yeah, and then now you're that superhero, and everyone's so shit scared to talk to you because like,
And they're not scared to talk to you when they yell at you to do a flip.
Yeah.
yeah, I hate that. I hate that. Hate that.
So speaking of the history of your training and everything, did you, and I don't know if you listened to Mark's episode, and he had mentioned the Love Pirates.
Yeah, I did listen to Mark's, and I do remember.
Yeah?
There were some of the things that came up when I Googled it first, because I think they had a couple videos on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
You guys kind of sketched me out. They were like jumping off parking garages and stuff.
Are those guys still around there?
I don't know. I did eventually train with them a little bit.
Yeah.
They came to the gymnastics club eventually, and I kind of realized who they were. And I ended up training with them a couple times, but they were not in it for the same reasons I was in it. And they definitely didn't stick around as long. I think they got kids now and stuff. I think they.
Yeah, I mean, that was coming up on 13 years ago, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, a lot has transpired since.
So, what is it about parkour that drew you into it initially?
I hear this a lot now from a lot of kids that come to our gym.
Yeah.
It was just like team sports just didn't work for them.
Right.
Just like didn't click. And I was kind of like that. I played soccer and I kind of enjoyed it, but just like it never got to the point where I was really looking forward to do it. Same thing with basketball. I tried that. Didn't really stick with it. I did a bit of rec gymnastics when I was like 10 or 11. And I really liked it, but I found I only liked the parts where they just let me do whatever I want. I didn't like the regimented part. So I kind of just sat on it for a while. And then as I got older and thought parkour is like maybe a possibility, it just drew me to it. Like growing up watching Kung Fu movies as a kid, nonstop Jackie Chan movies when I was a kid, like always attracted to that kind of movement. It like didn't have to think about it. Like that's the thing I want to go do. So yeah, Jackie Chan. Actually, now that's probably my earliest influence if we're going back to that. I remember watching those movies when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, just seeing this dude run up a wall and like, what the hell was that?
He made that stuff look like no problem.
Oh, yeah. I would agree too. I don't know how I got started, but I think it was some kind of inspiration just sitting back in a movie theater watching Jackie Chan doing something, or even Loan the Matrix and being like, how does one, I know half of it's fake, but how does one do some things like that? You know what I mean? It's possible, right? People are doing it, right? So like, how does one do that? Like you get out of Fast and the Furious and you want to get in your car and start, right? Kind of thing. At least I do.
Oh, for sure. I like the Matrix for sure, and like inspired a lot of people towards parkour.
Yeah, like martial arts movies in general, just with a lot of their like acrobatic stunts. That was pretty big. So I basically just me wanting to emulate that stuff, I think is what drew me to parkour, because it's kind of the first thing you see when you see parkour is like the acrobatic flip side of it, or like the high level climbing or whatever. You don't really see a lot of the ground level stuff at first, even though that makes up most of the sport. Yeah. People
I think underestimate how much it actually makes up. It's like all on ground level.
They show up there all the time and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to learn a backflip today." Sorry, bud, not today.
Yeah.
So I know, talking like from a lot of our previous guests on here, that the reasons why they stick around from parkour or in parkour have changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you too? Like, do you think is it still just
I think so. Like for me, it was like something, and like an alternative form of fitness. Like I can go do my job, whatever it happens to be, and then instead of just going to the gym after work, I can just go do parkour instead. And that's kind of how it started. It was like a purely recreational thing for me.
Right.
And probably for the first 2 or 3 years, it was kind of like that. But as YouTube kind of took over, more videos started coming out. I started seeing more and more of it. It was becoming more of my daily life, just seeing it online.
Right.
And then once I went to Europe for the first time, I went to like my first jam.
Oh yeah.
This big jam in Paris that Urban Freestyle was hosting at the time. And I just like had to go. So I went and checked that out, and that's kind of where it changed for me.
Yeah.
Like Kai Willis was there, and seeing that guy do jumps he was doing, like kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like after that trip, I got home when I was like, I'm like committing to this. I also just met lots of cool people on that trip. So that's sort of when like the community kind of opened up, the community aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm still friends with now. Like I met Scott Bass, Ampy Sound on YouTube on that trip. I had discovered his videos a few months before that, and they were like the best videos I'd ever seen at that point.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like that's what parkour. That's what it looks like to me. That's what I wanted parkour to look like for me.
Yeah.
I remember like finding his email on his website and messaging him and like asking him if he was going to be around any of these spots in Europe at the same time I was. And that's when I found out about that big Paris jam. He told me he was going to be there, so I found him there.
That's sick. Wow. Yeah, Scott, in those videos, like, he did such a good job of just capturing the essence of the parkour jam.
Going like that late 2000s, early 2010s. Yeah. Like the vibe of parkour was very different than it is now, and I think like it's like a time capsule going back and watch that.
Yeah.
The baggy sweats and the Kalengis.
Yeah, totally. Wear baggy sweats.
I went back recently and rewatched a couple of those really old ones, and they're just good to watch.
Yeah, actually, I was checking out your profile on Instagram, and you mentioned Cambridge Joy.
Yeah.
And I've never watched that one. I went back to look at it. I'm like, wow, I just got like big fan fave, like all over. Like I was just like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole. Thank you for that.
I used to watch that video on repeat. I would watch that and then I would go train for like 2 or 3 hours. That was all I needed.
No, it's good. It's good inspiration. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, like, obviously media became like a big part of your life, and that's something that you got into a lot more yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Were you into like photography and everything before parkour?
I just didn't know how to like get started or get into it. I had done a bit of photo studies in high school, but it never really like transpired to anything else. And then as soon as like parkour videos started taking off on YouTube, that's like, again, that's what I want to make. Like, I want to make those. So like, again, I messaged Scott Bass and I was like, what kind of camera do I need to film like this? And he told me the exact camera he got. So I did my research, saved up some money, ended up buying it. And that was like 2010, 2011. And I bought it and just started filming my own stuff. At that point, that was after you and Mark had already moved away.
Yeah.
So, and no one else was training. Like for a while, we had Josh Ride out training and his friends. And I hadn't I didn't know where they went or if they were still training. So for like a couple of years, it was kind of just me.
Yeah.
I had like forced my brother to come out and film stuff for me, but like he didn't really have any interest in it. He was just stuck there because he's my brother. Forcing my brother to.
There you go. Yeah, forcing him. Taking your expensive camera and forcing him to film you.
Yeah. So those like early videos are pretty crude, as anybody's early parkour videos are. They're pretty cringy. But being able to go back and watch my own stuff was pretty cool, and like see how my technique was. And this was before smartphones were even a thing. You couldn't just film it on the spot because we're going back a decade here.
Yeah.
How do you imagine life without smartphones now, especially with relation to parkour?
Oh.
But like, so at that time, parkour videos had just started coming out in like really high quality. Like, people were starting to use DSLRs, which is what I just bought to film like HD parkour videos. HD was like the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to make just like really attractive looking parkour videos. Like things that just looked pretty, were filmed really well. I mean, I'm still trying to achieve that.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it just wanting to make my own content was always something I wanted to do, whether it was parkour or not. I was really interested in like filmmaking in high school, wanting to make my own movies and stuff. And that kind of just led to me making my own parkour videos. And it wasn't until later I got into like the photography side of it.
Okay.
Like I started with video first. I really
Right.
only a video, and then photography kind of came later.
Yeah.
I think I probably enjoy like shooting parkour photos more than video now at this point.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's once you've been around parkour enough, and like especially people you train with, you kind of figure out that those like exact moments you need to take that shot to get like, the perfect air form, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like once you nail that, it's like pretty addictive.
Neat.
Yeah. I think in general, any parkour person will probably take a better picture of parkour than a non-parkour person.
Absolutely, yeah.
I so wish Red Bull would hire parkour related like filmmakers for their art of motion.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times I've seen a camera guy get in the way of a run.
All the time.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad to see that.
See,
Like,
I'm
fly me out. Pay me to do it. It's like, I'll do it.
yeah.
Don't even pay me. Just fly me out there and I'll do it.
And
I
with
guess
the
that's
equipment
where,
nowadays, yeah, that's so much easier than getting in the way.
Like NAPC, like that's all parkour people, right? Like
Mhm.
any
Yeah, well-
did camera work for that?
Yeah, I pretty much volunteered to do it. I got to go into the
Nice.
for free, but
Yeah.
it was awesome to be a part of the event a little more behind the scenes that way and just see how like a
Yeah.
live stream works.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super fun. Like it was hard work, but I'd totally do it again. It was really fun.
Yeah, because I guess you can kind of track people. Like
Yeah.
you'll know the route better than
Well,
someone who doesn't do parkour.
so we
would.
got all the camera people got to go in early while the athletes were practicing. So I got to see all the crazy stuff these guys were planning. Like all these game-changing tricks people are about to throw. I saw them
Yeah.
practicing these before they did it in the actual competition.
Yeah.
So like in the competition, all the camera guys had headsets.
Mhm.
We were communicating with each other and with the people running like the switchboard to switch the cameras.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like me and the other camera guy, Jeremiah, he was on the floor with a gimbal and I was like up high on a tripod.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If we knew like one of the specific athletes coming up was about to do something cool, we'd say switch to this camera right now. We knew like something coming up was going to be pretty cool, and like that's something that they would not have gotten if they didn't have like parkour athletes as their camera guys.
hmm Yes, I hope obviously Red Bull has a lot of influence and stuff. It would be good if they actually did start. I mean, it's a whole other way to support a parkour community, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hiring all the actual athletes and people
Oh, and
involved.
you're seeing so many more people come out of like the creative side of parkour now.
Mhm.
Being involved with parkour while not necessarily being an athlete or at least a high level athlete, you can still contribute in another way, making content for people, taking pictures at events, that kind of thing,
Making podcasts.
making podcasts, making clothes, anything, honestly. Yeah.
Anything related
Yeah.
to it. Yeah, absolutely.
So with like media stuff, are you fairly self-taught with that then? Like just learning through trial and error, or?
Yeah, I'm like pretty much all self-taught, whether that's like to my detriment or not. I don't
Yeah.
I don't think anything formally learned would have taught me how to film parkour specifically. You can learn filming techniques like from anywhere, but applying them to parkour is different just because it's kind of its own weird, unique thing to film.
All right,
Yeah.
I got a question. So, where do you like to be, in front of the camera or behind it most of the time?
That's kind of a complicated question. So
Sure is, yeah.
I don't
Let's
mind
hear it.
being on the camera. I can talk from the camera comfortably. I can post your pictures. I have a lot of experience with that, and that's okay. But when it comes to like filming something, and this is where I start to like feel like I'm being like a dictator or something. Like I want to make sure it's filmed right. And there's if it's just like a phone clip or whatever, big deal. But when it comes to like filming something at like a higher quality with my actual like professional gimbal and camera, like I want to be the one behind camera to make sure it's right and filmed the way I want it to look. Because I don't like being the guy that's like barking orders to people saying like, no, can't film this way, whatever. I don't want to be the one just directing people.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always got to be a director, though, right?
For that, videos far less because I'm just like filming more instead of working on my own lines.
Totally get it.
Which is fine. Like you kind of have to get used to that at some point if you're going to be the one making content. You kind of have to take a back. Like you're either filming or you're training, but doing both, you're going to get a half-ass version of each, and you're not going to enjoy either one.
Yeah, it's true. You need to be able to switch off with someone else.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I've learned that too in training. So like I was very stickler to myself, like behind the camera, like, oh, I need this shot from this angle, and I need to get multiples from this and that, and work hard, drill it hard. But then like now in my, I don't know, my later years, I give my camera or whatever over and, okay, this is a single shot. We'll do it once or twice, and then that's it. I don't even look at the film. I just like, whatever. Like, it's got to be good somewhere, And if not, I'll come back another time, right? Like, I don't take it personally anymore. It's a lot of stress off.
I film so much stuff with like the community around here. Like everybody knows kind of how I like to film things anyway.
Awesome.
So like I trust most of these guys to just hand them something and they can film it. The hard part is when you start dealing with more like specific gear. Like right now, I've got my gimbal right beside me.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to like train people on how to use it to get the results for it. And that's
I'm still not good at it. Tom's good at it.
Yeah, we got one of those. What is it? A DJI one?
Yeah.
The Osmo.
Yeah.
I have one of those too.
And then you have nice. What's the other one there, Tom? The 360.
Oh yeah, we got one of those 360 cameras. Have you used 360 stuff yourself?
I haven't edited any, but Gavin here has a 360 GoPro.
Oh yeah.
We filmed a little bit of content with it, but we haven't like gone full on an edit for it. But we keep talking about it. We want to.
Now that I've done a little bit with 360, they're so fun. They're so great. Like you can just change the angles and get in wherever, zoom in, zoom out. It's
kind of you'd think that would be more of a game changer, because if you had told us about that like 10 years ago, the filming parkour videos, that would have blown our mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you don't have to like get that perfect shot anymore, as long as you're like in an area, you can. And
like, even though it's filmed statically on a tripod, you can still make it look like a fully filmed handheld shot just by the way you edit it later.
Yeah, exactly. So for any people that are interested in getting into photography or video stuff in parkour, is there any steps you would recommend to people to take, like video, maybe certain skills to learn or equipment to use?
Equipment wise, like now's a better time than ever because everyone's got a 4K camera on their phone at this point. And the cameras themselves on the phones have some pretty decent built-in stabilizers. But like, don't wait around for a camera if that's like your hurdle. Just start filming stuff with your phone. I filmed and edited an entire video with my phone last summer, all in 4K and stuff. It turned out awesome.
Yeah,
that's really awesome.
So like, you don't need a ton of gear. As far as like concepts, this is something I'm guilty of. Don't overcomplicate it. I'll try to plan a video for like 2 months and then I just get sick of it. Like, just film stuff. Like, just film. Don't overcomplicate it. You're not Stanley Kubrick.
Right. Throw down right on. That's how I feel.
Some of the best videos that come out were just filmed like fairly casually. Like a video with well filmed parkour moves are always going to perform better than a video that just like has nice cinematography, but it's kind of slow and boring to watch. No one's going to care. You're going to lose your viewers so fast.
Are there any like general rules you follow when editing a shot or filming? Like do you prefer close-up shots for parkour or far away?
I prefer a little farther away, but it also kind of depends on like the tone of the shot, the video you're going for. Like, sometimes depending on the music I'll pick, I'll just film something like handheld and chaotic style. Like, don't put a lot of thought into how it looks, just getting the trick itself. But in general, like let the moves speak for themselves. Like you don't need complicated camera angles. If you go and watch any of like the best parkour videos, like the highest produced ones, like Modus Project, Soul Destroyer or whatever,
Yeah.
if you watch the moves in that video, they're not complicated camera moves. The camera moves very subtly, but the moves do all the action. The camera just captures it. You don't need to like make it too fancy. Like let the moves do the work for you. Sometimes I kind of like to edit to the music.
Mhm.
So like I usually have a song in mind so that I'm going to use first. That way I can sort of film in regards to that song, like editing on a beat, that kind of thing.
Right.
But like, there's no real rules. It's completely trial and error. Like you just gotta start making stuff.
Yeah.
Basically,
A lot of just put in the time, play around with it.
That's the time.
Yeah.
I gotta give myself a time limit because if I go for longer than 20 minutes, I know I'm gone. See you later. I'm gone. Like I'll be just sitting editing. I have to get those special blue glasses. Edit. You know, miss days. But yeah.
You're spending a lot of time editing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how fast time goes by when you're editing. Actually,
yeah, nuts.
It's like I did a very recently just a short edit, and the whole thing was like the final thing was like 3 minutes, but the recording time was like 3 hours, and it probably took me actually like 4 or 5 hours to edit.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah,
we recently made a video about what shoes are good for parkour.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
kids always ask us like, "What shoes?"
Yeah, I know what the shoes are gonna make.
And like, a lot of kids, if they don't know, they just show up with like the worst possible shoes. It just makes the whole learning process more difficult.
Yeah.
So Logan and I came up with this idea. We like between him and I, we probably have every parkour shoe. Like we just keep buying shoes.
Right.
So we just brought all of our shoes together and put a video together with like our current lineup of favorites that our coaches use and whatnot. And maybe spent an hour filming it at most.
Yeah.
A lot of information, and the video itself is like 14 minutes long, I think. It took like 20 to 30 hours to edit.
Yeah, really? Oh, man.
Like I film everything in 4K now because I've upgraded all my gear. 4K.
Oh, yeah.
And then I now have like a few years of actual like professional video work and editing behind me.
Yeah.
From like other things I've done. So now I kind of like, I put that towards my edits now, which to my detriment takes more time, but
probably you just tone it down. Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to go like 80% and then put it out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
So I mean, I want to get into all the Empire stuff, but before that, with your current, training for yourself, do you have any goals that you're working towards right now?
Nothing super specific. My training over the winter kind of dwindled a little bit. Like I had a couple bails, so I was like out for a couple weeks at a time, and then just overall winter sadness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like your body just hurts all the time, and you're just cold.
Well, only people in the prairies will really understand.
People don't understand. People don't understand.
Like if you don't know, like we were probably one of the coldest places on the planet for a couple of weeks this year. So like that's how bad it gets here.
It's bad.
As far as goals go, so we have like a graded class system here. So starting from level 1 is like beginners, level 2, 3, 4, and then we have a level 5, which is like mostly just for like the most advanced athletes.
Right.
And so far only three people have completed level 5. 3 of our coaches, Jordan, Logan, and Caleb, all completed it.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm kind of like slowly picking away at challenges on that list.
Oh yeah.
Like, because like each one focuses on like a specific skill. Like one will be like a big lache or something. So I'll spend time like drilling that technique specifically to work towards that challenge.
Right.
I used to go out training with like really specific goals. Yeah. And then if those goals weren't met, then they just get pissed off.
Yeah. Right.
I don't do that anymore. Like most of my training is like kind of drill based these days. which is kind of boring to watch. So I also end up just not filming it because no one wants to see me drill a precision like 35 times.
Right.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to like introduce more line building back into my training. We do like a team training thing, usually on Saturday nights if we're up for it.
Right.
And
Awesome.
try to put some lines together there. We've been filming like a team training video over the last couple of months where everyone just like puts a bunch of lines together.
Yeah.
But we're getting close to finishing filming for that. So I put a couple lines together for that one that I'm pretty happy with.
Oh, I like that. I can't wait to see
Forward
it.
to that, yeah.
Yeah.
So with the old school way of training, how we would do like almost single moves at a time.
Yeah.
Did you find it harder to like get into that line building kind of mentality?
No, in fact, when I found out that was kind of like an alternative way to train, I was like, why didn't we do this sooner? Like I'm so used to doing simple moves, like my endurance is crap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So after that Europe trip I mentioned earlier, like I came back and line building, like line based training became like my go-to. I would do like drills to warm up. I would do like 10 pre's here, 10 jumps here, and that would kind of be my warm up. And then I would go on like putting lines together.
Okay.
And that was like my preferred way of training for a long time. But then as we started building the gym, like my time for training was really low because we had the gym built. So that whole summer I barely trained.
Yeah.
And like I regressed a lot there. So just like going back into my old habits, I'm still working at it.
Yeah. It's always, at least it's easier to kind of get back to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you, for the future, do you plan on getting more like back into like just the pure athletic side of things, like training more?
Yeah, like with summer coming up, I plan on training a lot more, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll be running a lot less stuff in the gym this summer. Last summer was kind of crazy because we were closed for 2 or 3 months for COVID, and we came back in June. But we were pushed back a couple of months. So that session that we had to shut down, we just moved over to summer. And it was just the 3 of us, myself, Jordan, and Logan, running classes like every single day until like 10 o'clock at night, which left like no time or anything for training.
Yeah.
But we're just going to be running summer camps this summer, and those just happen like during the day, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So like weekends and evenings are going to be completely open for training. So I'm hoping to just kind of go for it this summer.
Sweet. Do you have any particular skills that you're going to be working on then? Any dream skills?
Like the weird side effect of opening the gym was I pretty much just stopped doing flips.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I just immediately started focusing on like parkour specific skills.
Right.
Which so my techniques for all those things got really good, and like overall, like I just got stronger. But then my flip techniques just kind of disappeared. So I've been drilling a lot of flips, a lot more so lately, trying to get them back into the habit for summer training.
Yeah.
Like flips just hurt. Like flips just make me sore sometimes, you know. Like I can drill a single precision for like an hour, but try drilling a single flip for an hour.
Yeah.
No, it's different. Yeah, it's totally different. Unless there's a trampoline involved. But even still, like that's a lot of conditioning, like pulling your knees in and doing the tuck and spotting. Like,
yeah, there's a lot more elements involved with a flip than just going for a stride precision.
Yeah, so let me ask you this: like in your younger years, were you going for bigger things, for like grand movement, rather than flowier as you get older?
I never really went for like huge stuff. I didn't really care about huge high drops or big gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was always just trying to make my movement look as clean and efficient as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess especially back then when I did a lot more flips, like making the flips, I guess look effortless was always the goal. Because no one wants to see someone struggle to do a flip.
Yeah. Like, ooh, you barely made that.
Yeah. Because then, like, you can kind of fumble a jump and people might not notice. You can kind of like figure your way out of it. But like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one way to land a flip.
Yeah. That's pretty. Yeah.
So, do you find that you have to spend a lot more conditioning time versus like actual parkour training time now?
I was going to ask you that, Tyler. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I do spend more time conditioning, but I don't know like if that's a result of getting older, of just like a lifestyle change. Like I started weightlifting more seriously like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's more just as a supplement to parkour and just something else to do. But now I find like if I don't lift weights, if I even exercise, it doesn't have to be weightlifting necessarily. I'll supplement body weight stuff as well. But I feel like if I don't do it, I just don't feel like as complete or as strong as I would otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know.
Weird.
Personally, I probably feel at this point it's probably like a 10-to-1 ratio of conditioning to actual parkour training.
I would agree.
Mine's a little closer than that.
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't know.
Conditioning to do parkour.
Yeah, like on a good day, I'll come to the gym early before coaching, and then I'll lift some weights and then do some training.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually I find that keeps me going a little longer. Like I'll have more energy throughout the day.
Right.
But I used to separate. So we have like a weightlifting area at the gym here, but I always found that if I weightlifted, then I just wouldn't do parkour. So for a while, I separated them. I would go weightlift at a different gym, and then I would come here and do parkour. So they were separate.
Right.
And that is like kind of my ideal schedule, but COVID made that a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So I just haven't gone to any other gyms in a while. So I just make more time for it here.
Right.
Essentially.
So Tyler, what is your favorite move? Like if you're gonna do something in a line, you're gonna add it.
Boy, I don't know.
I know it's a tough one.
Like so far, I've been letting the spots I'm training at kind of determine the moves I'm using. So the last couple lines that I've made, I've been forcing myself to use bars more, whether it's like for footwork or like swinging.
Good for you.
So my last 2 lines that I put together the last couple of weeks have just been like focused on rails. For a while, if I can't come up with a line, I'll just ask somebody here, like, give me 2 moves.
Oh, wicked. Awesome.
Or no, I'll say, give me 1 move and a spot that I have to touch. So that was like a fun little challenge for a while. And it got me doing a couple of things that I normally wouldn't thought of. Like Jordan gave me one that was reverse vault bar. So I had to do reverse vault on a bar, which I'd never done before, I don't think. At least not in a long time. And it actually like got my brain working to come up with a line I was actually pretty happy with.
I've never heard of that's really cool. It's like taking a dice and rolling it and
Kinda, yeah.
That's really neat. Or
I don't really have like single moves I work on. I just like I work on a spot more.
Yeah.
And then the spot will sort of like open up as I get more comfortable using it.
Yeah, right on. I agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Get a parkour move generator. Just hit a button and it'll tell you.
Joey Adrian made one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's still around, but you can come up with some ridiculous combos.
That's pretty funny.
I think you could set like a difficulty level too. So it wouldn't pick like Kong Gainer Breeze or something.
Gotta roll a wheel. Which move is it gonna be?
Have it out of jam. Bring out a wheel.
Are you dealing with any injuries right now or any kind of ongoing problems?
Yeah, you said
at this moment I'm good. I shinned myself really hard like a month ago.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh no.
And in my shin now. So that one set me back a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just like joint pain.
Yeah.
I got sore right now because I've coached 6 classes in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like in general, I feel like I'm probably in better shape now than I've ever been. Like I've got my conditioning routine down. My recovery time between lift and training isn't as long anymore. I work over the winter. Like I just wasn't training as often over the winter. Like I would train once and I'd be done for like 5 days. Now it's pretty good. I could probably train like the next day or 2 if I needed to.
Yeah.
But in general, I think I'm pretty good. No like major injuries to speak of at the moment.
Good, right on. Nice to hear.
It's amazing how how much of a workout coaching classes can actually be. Hey,
Coaching makes me more tired than any training session.
Mentally, yeah.
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 Although, like, the opposite of that is true too. Like, if you teach a really good class,
Oh, I love it.
amps you up too. Like, when
Yeah.
you see get a move that you've been working on, like that's as exciting as training for myself.
Do you know what? When I
Sure.
when I would coach, I would be like, "Are the kids ready for me?" Because I have too much energy. Like I'm gonna burn them out, kind of thing, right? It's like, how dare they come in here without a chocolate bar beforehand? Kind of thing. But that's my goal. It's like I'm a vampire. I'm gonna suck their energy and use it towards the next class, kind of thing. But yeah, I really like coaching. It was really tough. Like I think I grew so much coaching. Like reading a certain situation or a struggle with myself or one of the kids or students.
Mm-hmm. I found I learned a lot more about parkour once I started coaching too. Like watching somebody else perform these moves, but analyzing how they're doing it, like helped me figure out how these moves actually work.
Mm-hmm.
That was like not something I actually expected. Like I didn't know that would happen like subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you always have to be able to explain a move in like 2, 3, or 4 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or like figure out what's the one thing holding the student back from completing this move, and oftentimes it is just one little thing that can make it.
Yeah, that was perfect timing.
Do you find that like students have more trouble physically or mentally with challenges?
That could go either way.
Yeah.
Like some kids have the complete drive to do it, but are completely limited by their size. Like you're 5 years old and you don't have any muscles.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
But then some kids they don't understand the move or they're just scared of it. It wildly differs between each kid. Even between siblings. Like we'll teach a lot of like siblings in the same class. And like one kid will completely take off in this direction, but the other will go in this direction.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny how that can happen with siblings. They can be wildly different.
Yeah.
With training, students, like physically, it's fairly straightforward, right? Like can get them to do this exercise, and I'll get them better here. But when you come across a student that's particularly afraid of something, how do you approach that with them?
It depends on the move or like the severity of their fear, I guess. But I usually just find another way to relate that movement. Like, I don't know if it's like a precision they're scared of. Like move the precision to somewhere smaller or shorter. The technique for the precision is always going to be the same. It's the distance and the height that might change.
Right.
And that's just like a really basic example. But like all the moves we teach, like for example, level 2 is probably like the last level where they learn like all the fundamentals.
Right.
But then those skills they learn in level 2 can be applied to every other level after that. It's just it's just scaled up differently. Right. So usually, at least in my experience, I find when you show them a move in a different scenario, they understand that that's the same skill.
Right.
It works in different ways. So
it's all about just changing the dynamics of that situation, scaling things down a little bit.
Yeah, and it varies per kid. You might have to scale things really. Like in one class, height can vary wildly between kids. Mm-hmm. And like this kind of changes how you have to put the lesson together too.
True. Yeah. We've come across that too, Tom. Hey.
Mm.
Like some kids will just be giants for their age. Meanwhile, like, the other kid hasn't got up to that spurt and they still give her these little ones. Like,
oh yeah,
it's great. Like if they're like that and they haven't hit their spurt, like more power to them.
Yeah. As soon as they grow into their bodies,
it's amazing. Yeah.
I always see like you guys are posting a lot of content from your classes on your Instagram and stuff. And it is wild to see such, young kids who will now have been in parkour for their whole lives.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing some wild things.
When I started.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like Already full grown people.
Yeah, I was like 18 or 19 when I started. So like,
Right.
these kids are doing moves that I couldn't do as an adult, and they're like 4 years old.
The mouth's a little dry here. Need
Yeah,
some
let's all
water.
take a sip.
So having Empire Parkour, that's obviously a huge deal. I think not just locally for you guys, but you're one of the only gyms in Canada.
Yeah, one of the few.
Gyms. Yeah. So, what kind of impact do you think that's had for Saskatoon?
It was kind of hard to tell at first. Like we weren't really sure like where we would fit in and like the landscape of local businesses, right?
Yeah.
And even like in the first 6 months, we didn't really know. Like kids would come to classes. That'd kind of be the end of it. As we've gone on, like we start seeing kids like, walking around the city wearing Empire shirts, and like going to River Landing, like our big training spot outside. Like seeing kids I don't know that are now doing parkour.
Awesome.
It's spreading pretty organically. Like we haven't had to do a ton of marketing on our end to educate people on what we do, and there's nowhere else to go to do this.
Yeah.
So like it's as far as like impact goes, I think it's just another outlet for kids to like move around in. We get a lot of parents, kids who maybe deal with ADHD or on the spectrum in some capacity, who have tried every other activity they could to get their kid engaged, and nothing worked. But somehow parkour works.
Yeah.
And like we hear this a lot. Like we have a large number of kids that are dealing with ADHD, whatever. And like it be the thing that works, and it makes them happy.
There's something about it, hey, like that individualized just movement. And
it's weird too because it's not a team sport, but it's so community based.
It's ridiculous. It's the coolest thing.
Hard to explain to people that aren't really involved in the sport, but like I don't know. It's so non-competitive. Even though there are competitions, you're always cheering on for somebody. Like
you're not trying to beat someone, so therefore you're not going to be like made to feel like you lost in some way. Maybe everyone's just kind of there to help each other.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you noticed this when you lived here, but like Saskatoon and the prairies in general are pretty slow to change and adapt. It just that's not even like a dig. That's just things.
No, it's true. I'll take it as a dig. It's true.
I mean, a small town kind of mentality is like that, right? Like
totally.
Yeah, and it's not it's a small city, but we have over 250,000 people here.
Yeah.
It still takes a while for things to like sink in here. So our big thing was just trying to educate people that parkour is not dangerous inherently. I mean, there are involved in parkour, but like we're not climbing buildings and doing crazy stuff.
You're not just always running away from police on rooftops.
Yeah, it's
that's why we show so many of those videos of kids doing parkour to show that like if anyone can do this, like these are 3-year-old kids just learning how to move and use their body. That's all we're teaching here. And we want people to do it safely and learn how to control their bodies and gain better awareness in their actions.
I think it's super important. Like it's just going to help kids, even if they don't want to stick with parkour. The kind of like mind-body connection made.
I feel that for like good. Adults too. Like for myself, I'm like older than you two, and I feel like the mind-body connection can fade over time. It depends on your lifestyle, but like still being active in it, I think like it does keep you young. It does keep you active. It does keep your like brain flowing kind of thing. And you never lose that parkour vision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a good like reception with adults then? Do you have older people in classes?
Pre-COVID we did. We were running like adult drop-in classes.
Awesome.
And, also occasionally come check it out. We had to stop running anything like open gym or drop-in based
right.
Until COVID settles down. We still get some like attention from adults asking about it and wanting to do it. So that's still on the card for the future. Actually, shortly before COVID hit, we were about to announce like a parent and kids workshop day.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Parents would come with their kid and actually try some of the moves their kids are doing, and they can do it together.
Yeah.
We still want to do that when we can. It's just not on the cards at the moment.
Yeah.
But hopefully in the fall, things are a little more.
Those are interesting ones. Like I have done those in the past, and it's very interesting to see like how adults can obviously do certain challenges way easier, but then some kids can do some other ones
I
way easier.
I found that adults are way more affected by like fear, the fear side of parkour than kids are.
Yeah.
Kids will essentially give themselves a countdown and they just do it, or they won't. But adults go back and forth on it for a while, or contemplate why they're not doing it, or try to figure out why it's difficult.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry for adults, obviously, because like the risk of injury might be a little higher, or like the consequences of an injury are higher.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
think that's it.
or whatever.
Yeah.
My goal, like initially when we opened the gym, since I'm like the old guy around here, like I wanted to show. I've had people younger than me say, "Oh, I'm too old. I'm never going to be able to get into this."
Yeah.
Nah, you just gotta put some time in. You gotta try it.
Yeah.
You're
That's
looking at it from the
exactly
outside, and from the outside, it does look intimidating. Like I'll totally admit that, especially when people have been doing it for so long and make it look so easy. Like it took a lot of work to make it look that way.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to get more adults involved in again, even some parents.
Yeah. I'm all for that. I encourage everyone I meet to do parkour.
I was just training the other day, actually. Me and Gavin were training, and there was this like he was like a caretaker. He was like cleaning up a yard for this building we were training at, and he saw what we were doing and was like asking about it. And he's like, "Oh, I could never do this. I'm too old. I'm 32." Like, me too. Like,
Yeah. They just have to get in and be like, that's not old.
Yeah. It's not. No, it's not. No age. There's this site called PK Move, and that's all they deal with is they call it PK Silver. So you do slower movements, but still moving. But
I actually had one of our students' grandfathers ask us about that. He saw that video.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he like inquired about it. Like,
oh, good.
You guys would ever do? And I was like, we're open to it. Like, if you know people that want to try, like, let's talk about it.
Awesome. I'm so glad we're talking about it. Good, because I'm all for that too.
It's funny. Parkour is actually probably primarily best for young kids, and then like seniors. Because if you know parkour and like you can control your falls and everything, or you're less likely to fall.
What's this generation of old people going to look like? Like when we're all old, like old people. Like after a lifetime of like parkour movement, like what's going to happen? What are these retirement homes going to be like? Are we going to have jungle gyms and stuff?
Gonna have a set of rings
in your room. Imagine what I'm going to look like when I'm 96, still pulling off.
Get me in a wheelchair. Let me get out there.
That's good. That was a good laugh.
Yeah. So parkour skills. Are there other like lessons or kind of knowledge that you've learned through parkour that you try to impart on students there?
Something that we tell everybody is like your progression is your progression. So we have like a grading system with cards that kids can check off whatever skills they're learning. But like, it's not your skill isn't relative to someone else's. It's only you.
Right.
And a lot of kids are frustrated because like a friend of theirs might go up to the next level and they didn't.
Yeah.
Try to remind them that it's a completely individual experience. Like the time you spent learning this trick, while maybe longer than somebody else, doesn't diminish the quality of it.
Right.
In fact, it might even make you better at it because you're spending more time on that trick. You might understand that better in the future.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So just the whole, it's a marathon, not a race kind of mentality. And some kids are like in a hurry and they're really motivated by those check marks. But we turn that down right away. Like if you ask for it, you're not getting any check marks. In fact, we'll just race.
Wicked. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to enjoy the process of it. Hey.
Totally.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you guys can relate. There's nothing worse than
Totally. I do.
spending
Yeah.
like 3 hours on a move and you're getting pissed off, and it's like the end of the night, you're losing sunlight, and like you keep saying one more try, and your friend's getting pissed off, sick of filming, you do it. And then finally you get that last one and you have like the best sleep of your life that night.
It's so
And
true.
that's something that's hard to explain to someone that's never experienced it. So
Right.
we try to encourage that. Just drill it. We give kids like free time in classes too to just drill a skill that they want to work on. So like part of the class will be structured, and then like the last little bit, go work on your own skill. Do whatever you want. And of course we'll be around to help them. It's not like a free for all or anything. But it gives them time to sort of develop their own style as well, which is still a thing in parkour.
Yeah.
I like
No
that.
perfect form.
No, there
It's
isn't.
all relative, right? Kind of.
Kinda.
So with other lessons, knowledge there, do you guys care about it much, or talk about, the old school parkour philosophies?
Most kids won't even care.
Yeah. How about like
Yeah,
with
right.
you have older
Yeah.
teenagers and
With
stuff
our
there.
older guys, we'll talk about it more. We actually, with like our 14 plus classes, we actually usually start by like playing a video.
Oh, sweet.
And we've got like a projector up on the wall, so we'll just play something on there. And like we
That's awesome.
usually pick an older video or
Yeah.
something new that's cool that just came out. We'll show that, and then
Yeah.
we'll have a little discussion about it. But like,
Oh, that's great.
as far as
That's
like
good.
old school parkour culture, like kids don't care. They don't care about the Kalengis and baggy sweatpants era. Also, a lot of these videos came out before some of these kids were even born.
Oh, yeah.
Like it just doesn't like click with them that that's what parkour used to be.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference really. Like a lot of the exposure these kids have to parkour is just what they see here. So like
Mhm.
the skills they work on here plus the videos we happen to be playing at the time.
Do you think that old philosophy of parkour, like the whole be strong to be useful type thing is a relevant aspect of parkour to be passed on, or is it just kind of outdated at this point?
I think there are versions of that should definitely be like transferred over, but it's really hard to talk about that without sounding so cringe. Like I remember like the early days of like PK Gen, where like most of their jams were just doing like QM on stairs, like up and down.
Yeah.
And I remember watching a few videos from their classes, and it's just like it's purely conditioning. But those were like the pure form of parkour, right?
Right.
And that never clicked with me.
Yeah.
And their whole be strong to be thing was like a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like being strong will help you be useful, obviously. But they're all like doing parkour isn't the only way to be strong. Like any exercise is going to help you with your awareness and just how to use your body. I think is helpful in the long run. Like martial arts, gymnastics, parkour, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that gets you using your whole body, I think is just helpful in that mentality.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of definitely a lot of say emergency situations that, doing parkour is going to help you a lot more than being a soccer player.
Absolutely. Especially anything like climbing related.
Yeah.
I mean, you see videos of people like climbing fire escapes and stuff when there's like emergencies going on.
Or have to jump into some snowbanks off a rooftop or something.
Well, I think it is a useful thing to maybe talk about. Like something I like to do is equate a move we teach to like a real world scenario. Like kids always ask how they have to learn a shoulder roll on both sides when they're good at one side. So we always say like that person's going to be able to control which direction you're falling.
Yeah.
Whatever you happen to be falling off of, could be your couch, could be some stairs, could be a playground. So you want to be able to toss these things out on whatever side you happen to be.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't read with.
Go ahead. A lot of the things we teach on both sides, just so that there's no good side or bad side. So like strides, we'll do takeoffs on either leg, shoulder rolls both sides, vaults on both sides. All that stuff.
Totally. I agree with that 100%.
So you'd have that incorporated into your on your checklist. That's like you can't check it till you
do
it off both.
We'll have them like separated, so like one side will be done, but they can't move up.
Yeah. Right.
Huh. I like that.
Do you guys integrate flips then as part of your program?
Sort of.
Or is
Not
it optional?
It's more optional than anything because some kids just don't care. Some kids don't want to, but then there's some kids that really want to. So we do try to give time for that. Usually starting in like level 2, we'll start pushing that in. The kids want to learn it. But it's not like a requirement of the curriculum or anything.
Right.
But if they want to learn it, like we definitely give them the outlet to do it so that they do it safely.
Yeah.
These kids will 100% just run and flip without any pretense.
Yeah.
That's so funny when some kids, like maybe one of the kids will do a flip and then the other kids will be like, oh, I can do that too. Watch, I'll do it. It's like, no.
Yeah. That still happens.
Yeah.
We'll be right back to the CubeCast after this fat, lazy pre. Have you ever been outdoor training and someone yells, be careful, or don't hurt yourself? By the raise of hands, I can tell this has happened to you. With the Sage Movement clothing line, this will never happen again. Quite the opposite starts happening. But don't take my word for it. Be twist over to sagemovement.net and get your streetwear. Use the promo code CubeCast10 and get 10% off your order. Just a bit of a side flip. And now, back to Tom.
You're, I think, almost known, maybe at this point, of being a big supporter of parkour brands.
Known for spending a lot of money.
Well, you spend a lot of money on parkour brands and clothes. What about parkour brands that, I could probably answer this question, but what do you like about that, about parkour brands?
I think initially, and I should. I don't even have that one. Those are gone now.
Classic.
I think initially it was kind of like an early way to sort of like take ownership of the sport. Like this shirt means I do parkour.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is kind of like a vain way to think about it.
It totally is.
But I was also a lot younger when I started actually like actively looking at parkour clothes and buying them. I don't know. It was just kind of a way, like that's our uniform.
Right.
I think that was kind of how I thought of it initially. But then I realized like later on as I was talking to these brands and just seeing the people behind them that this was about supporting them as well. Like me buying a shirt from a small team or brand like just helps them grow, which makes parkour grow in general. So I always go into it with that mentality. Like I'm buying this to support parkour as a whole.
Yeah.
And then like in turn I get some dope clothing from it.
Yeah.
And it's probably the only clothing you wear half the time is like parkour clothing.
head to toe almost every day. I also like, it became like a really cool way to meet people online or even at a jam. Like at a jam, someone will see you wearing like a parkour shirt. And they'll say, oh, cool, I didn't get that one. That's cool to see you in person, that kind of thing. Or like, it just kind of becomes like I hate the word networking. I hate it. But it becomes like a point for networking almost. Like I've met so many people online, people I've never met in person, but people that I talk to online all the time, just through buying clothes and actively taking pictures of clothing and just being a shill for parkour brands at this point.
Yeah, for anyone listening that doesn't know, you should definitely go check out Tyler's Instagram. And you have some really great photography of.
I'd agree.
So many brands.
Yeah, that's another thing. That was sort of how I started to like stand out on my own as well. I'm like a middling parkour athlete at best. So I'm never going to make my name as a high level athlete, but I was able to at least make somewhat of a name for myself by just making content and spreading the word on these brands, making my own reviews for these things and stuff.
Yeah.
And just telling people about it, like show up with the clothes.
And that's like, I think really important for lots of brands because it is generally, maybe just one person or a small group of people kind of making this stuff. And then
it's a small team.
When there's, an outside person now taking these kinds of pictures and reviewing it, it's like, can become such a huge thing for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like, I don't mind taking pictures and posting this stuff. And then they get free content out of it. And they post it, that comes back to me. So it allows me to grow my medias as well.
Yeah.
Which is probably where I saw like most of the growth on my platforms, just by sharing and resharing pictures.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, when I saw you do that, it was like mad respect from my end of here. Like when you just put all your shirts on and just went for like a photo shoot. I thought that was wow, like cool. Right? Like props to Tyler. Like I haven't seen it. I don't know if I'm following many people, but I haven't seen a lot of people do that. Just like prop out their shirts, except for
right.
Sunny up north in Pukatawagan and all those guys. They're constantly buying stuff in the store in 3 Run.
Yeah. Single-handedly supporting 3 Run still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think purchasing so much Modus Project gear here.
Oh yeah,
the community here purchasing it. Got Saskatoon put on one of their T-shirts.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
You helped purchase 1/10 of their workshop.
I signed up for the Patreon for that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Get all that special behind the scenes.
I got the paper certificate that says time.
Damn.
Is it on the wall behind you?
No.
Is it framed?
No, that's Jordan's degree.
You got your doctorate in supporting Modus. So with these other brands, do you take things like learn things from them that you've incorporated into Empire?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've probably bored to death some of these guys just very constantly asking them questions. But everyone's always been very like forthcoming with information. Like no one's hoarding information here for their own. Like
right. No secrets.
Everyone's been super helpful. Other brands have also been like really supportive and promoting us.
Good.
That's something I kind of want to do a little bit more with Empire. Mm-hmm. Like moving on this year is just like get a little bit more invested in the clothing side.
Right.
We're a gym first. We don't need to rely on selling clothing like other brands. It hasn't been as big of a priority for us.
Yeah.
But getting into like that next step where we actually start like producing our own clothing would be really cool. That's something I've always wanted to do.
Right.
And I've just been like learning more and more about that process and like trying to find factories to work with, that kind of thing. So that's like
no doubt
end goals for Empire Clothing. To stop just printing on stuff, but actually like get our own stuff made.
There it is. There's another shirt.
That's the first stride shirt right there.
That's great. I love it.
Wow. Old school.
And I think the one you're wearing is like the 3rd or 4th iteration. And I'm on.
I think right now. I think Tyrion has the second.
Orange one. I don't have that one. What? I never got it.
Well, Tyler, you have our support always. So you got something going on. We have something going on with you. Okay, so if there's something going on, we'll post it as well. So
hell yeah.
Speaking of T-shirts and everything, I know this has been. I don't know if you listen to a lot of other podcasts, but the whole how the community is so reliant on selling T-shirts as a way of living. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's there can be more that teams can put out besides that, and besides coaching, I guess?
Selling T-shirts is never going to give you a solid living.
No, like solid.
Like you got to do a lot. You have to sell a lot of T-shirts.
Yeah,
the T-shirt game.
I mean, coaching is a big one. Like that's a service, and that's a recurring. Right, you're always going to have repeat customers who then tell other people, tell their friends, family, which brings you more. Mm-hmm. You're looking to make money off of parkour, like apart from just being an athlete. Like learning how to coach and using that as an outlet is probably a big one. Mm-hmm. Merch is another one, but that requires a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you got to get used to like pretty much shilling yourself out nonstop. Like you got to be pretty solid at marketing.
Right.
Who's going to buy your shirt and not buy Modus Project instead? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I like your shirt over Modus Project, just saying. That one is so stiff. This one I wear all the time because it
stuff like that. And we like to use clothing a lot to just like wear it to school and other kids see it to like come here.
Yeah, clothing's been more of like an advertising tool for us. Like,
but it's good. It cools you down. It's not too tight.
We don't really make any money on our clothes. Like
it was 1%.
Yeah,
It lasts
it's almost
fiscal year,
nothing.
Like,
Well, I bought
Wow.
two shirts when I was there. So.
We basically break even so that we can just make more clothing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
But then kids wear that clothing to school, and
So
then
better to use as a tool.
Kids.
I think it's like part of the culture too. Like
It is. It is. Absolutely.
I want to make a ton of money. Like nobody's making clothing for parkour for the same reason, right? It's just
no,
part of it.
Yeah.
true.
Right. That's like, I mean, any professional sports, they're going to be doing
Same
that, right?
thing.
NHL,
Jerseys.
selling jerseys,
Oh yeah,
and
But,
not
like,
their main income, but
the markup on the merch that like sports team sells is ridiculous.
yeah,
You mass produce it, so the cost is way cheaper.
Even Modus Projects, who seems like they might have a huge operation,
Yeah.
it's still just people. Like
Yeah.
every sale means something to them.
yeah,
It's not like a in the bucket.
yeah. I guess a lot for, people trying to make a living out of parkour nowadays, they have to do things like YouTube with their join things where people have monthly subscriptions.
That's an option too, but again, that's like
Your time.
you got to be on that content train.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
The store releases one video a week on their YouTube,
Yeah.
but if you're on their like YouTube subscribe thing or their join or whatever, there's also an extra video there a week. So they're producing 2 videos a week, and one of them's free.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but then again,
it's actually so much work.
Their full-time job now is
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's worth it for them to put that time into it because that's where they make the most of their money, apart from like merch and whatnot.
How are you doing for time, Tyler? You got a couple more minutes, like 5 more minutes?
Yeah, I got like another 5 or 10.
Okay. Do you want to get to the bottom of the list here, like the?
Well, let's do. We'll do maybe. We'll just quick bang out top 5s here.
Okay. Cool.
If that's cool.
I don't want to take you away from.
I saw the top 5s, but I didn't like plan any. I was like, I'll figure it out.
Good.
Okay, since we're talking about brands here, let's just go your top 5 favorite brands.
Good one.
Including Empire, or like
You can include yourself.
Empire.
So,
Modus Project, normal brand,
solid, yeah.
Sprang probably.
Oh yeah.
We're talking strictly like clothing brands here, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, they seem to go hand in hand with.
True. I'd probably put Storm on there as well, even though there hasn't been a lot coming from them the last little while.
Yeah.
But the clothing that I do have from Storm is also like pretty top quality.
Yeah, looks really nice.
Cool.
Okay, your top 5 athletes, people you like to watch or inspire you to train.
Danny Ilibaka.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's pretty much always at the top of my list. Like
Your old age is showing.
my old age is showing. Yeah, kids don't know who he is.
No.
That hurts.
Yeah, he's constantly at the top. Like he can show up and not have been in anything for like 2 years, and he's still as good as he ever was, which is impressive. You just stay that good nonstop.
Yeah.
Actually, this is hard.
Ed Scott and Berkey. That last video was like revolutionary.
Oh yeah, Travis Scott.
I like Ed Scott, but Ed Scott's like not one of my favorite athletes.
I agree.
This is my top 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I know you can't hear them because
I can't hear you guys. But
No, again, I like Dom, but he's not something I can like.
can't emulate him.
I can't emulate. I'm not gonna confront.
You can't do that. You can't confront IMAX.
Started rewatching a lot of old school Shade videos recently.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Remember Shade?
Yeah, Shade's a lot. Yeah.
Like early on, he was like super inspiring because his movement is like so clean and effortless, especially when it comes to flips. As far as like watching like a free running athlete goes, I put him on that list.
What about Max Henry?
Max Henry, I like.
Like I'm just guessing.
But again, I don't know if I put that top 5. Top 5 is hard.
Very solid athlete, bro.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't have any.
Who am I watching
I hate
lately?
so many people. I have a small selection.
I know
Jordan's really sour.
a common one, and I would probably agree with, is actually Keelan. Keelan Ryan from Modus.
Actually, you know what? I'd say George from Modus.
Oh, George, yeah.
Again, I find it hard to emulate his movement, but
Yeah.
So
seeing the
good.
way he does flips is like incredible.
Yeah. It's
Thought out. Yeah.
so much just
Okay,
Ow.
like
Ow.
old school Phil Doyle,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
jump for days.
Yeah.
God damn it. I'm trying to think of people that I've also like seen train in person because like
Nice.
sometimes you can't tell how good somebody is until you actually see them in person.
Right.
Like some of the athletes I've seen train in person kind of changed my opinion of them after I've
Oh yeah.
like Mish, for example.
Right.
Seeing that guy move in person is like a game changer.
Ridiculous.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah. Were you at that in the Toronto trip
No.
years ago? No. Yeah, when I went to Toronto quite a few years back.
Yeah.
Mad. Like
Massive.
it's just yeah, there's this he's doing like stuff that no one else was considering, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of anyone that can make the hardest moves look so simple.
Mm.
Right.
For example, there's some weird out of this world stuff, but he makes it look so easy. And that's the kind of stuff I really enjoy watching. There's no one's like style that I equate to my own really. So there's no that. Kind of just
Right.
and my top 5 changes.
Yeah.
Constantly, probably.
It really depends on like what I'm working on at the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
we'll
I got a shitty answer.
I will say though, it's kind of cool now, like that it is a struggle to pick a top 5 because years ago
It used to
there
be
was no like there only was a top 5.
Top 5. Yeah, there was. Yeah.
There's lots. If I sat down for like an hour, I could like probably nail down a list. But then I'm always giving someone a disservice. Jordan's got a list. What you got here?
What's Jordan's list?
Christian Kowalowski.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
George from Modus.
Yeah.
Keelan from Modus.
Yeah.
Berkey from Modus.
Yes.
Oh, this is a good one.
Andy Wolf.
Andy Wolf.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like athletes
Sick athlete.
like they are way too light on their feet.
Yeah.
You guys are all very floaty and poppy, and I'm like, how do you just float? How do you just float like that?
That's a good list. That's a good example. Kowalowski is another one I put there on like the flip category. Like
all of my guys are more on the flip category, but float is like my actual.
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell Jordan that he's gonna have to come up with a new list when we have him on the show too.
All right, you got to come up with a new list when they have you on.
Oh, right after this
he just
one.
uses that.
All right.
Okay. So we'll wrap this up since you don't have much time here.
Let's do it.
Let's finish it off with a piece of sage advice. So what's your sage advice to?
Oh my God!
Or,
walk softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
I gotta think about that.
That's some good advice.
I'm trying to think of something that I might say to like some of our students. In general, it'd be like, don't take it too seriously. Like, we're here to learn, but we're also here to have fun. And parkour is ultimately a fun activity.
Yeah.
So don't let like the pursuit of progression slow you down. Just go at it at your own pace and just enjoy it.
Right on.
Keep the passion.
Keep the passion, which is which is hard sometimes. And it becomes like your full-time job.
Yeah.
It can be hard to do that, but like find time for it. It's always going to be there.
Yeah. People have to know it's okay to take a step back every once in a while.
And take a break too. It's okay to take a break.
Yeah, I agree. Good advice. Solid.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
we'll
thanks
wrap
for being
it up.
here. We know you got to run away and teach and do your thing and train a little bit. Appreciate you being on the cast. Everyone follow Tyler at what's your YouTube and Instagram?
Oi Tyler. Just look up Oi
Tyler.
Yeah. I'll include that in the description here too.
Good.
Yeah, everyone should definitely look at all the stuff they're doing over at Empire. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big inspiration for me.
Oh, thanks, man.
I love seeing all that stuff.
Hopefully some new videos coming soon. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, then we'll say bye, everyone.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Peace.